Apple Mountain now, Bud. They want to see a 5-set thrill a la the Agassi match 2 years ago. Tremendous final back then.
Jim Courier, never behind in the French Open since that final 2 years ago.
Jim gave him a transfusion. First game of the third.
The best I've ever seen Sergi Bruguera play here, Bud. Coming in more than I've ever seen him. Has not missed an overhead throughout the entire match.
Love 15. Courier broken in the first and fifth games of the third set. This game. Boy, you don't want to lose your serve here, Mr. Courier.
Big game here, Bud, for Jim.
The Spaniard is so pumped. Wow!
When you talk about taking a big swing at a shot, watch this forehand by Sergi Bruguera. Put everything into it. Good stab volley by Jim Courier. Here we see the forehand of Jim Courier.
Now we're seeing the open stances that are not in the textbooks. I remember my friend Oscar Wegner, who coached the Spanish national junior team. He said, the textbooks are wrong. You got to be open. Boy, you cannot give him that shot.
But that was a textbook backhand, however.
Yes, it was.
Perfect preparation. Hit the ball short. Forced Jim to hit up on it. Bent his knees. Stayed with that ball. Beautiful stroke. Watch this preparation. Watch the ball until it hit the racket.
Now these become big points for Jim Courier. 15-30. We haven't seen too much of the backside boogie from Jim today. The forehand inside out.
As we showed in that graphic a couple of games ago, a lot of unforced errors off the forehand. And also the other surprising thing is how few points he's won off the first serve. Hasn't served as well as I expected him today. As we showed earlier, Bruguera, amazingly enough, has more aces than Jim. Jim's had to work awfully hard for his points.
This game, first game of the third set, was so critical, which Courier lost. Now it's 30-all, first game of the fourth set. Oh, what a pleasant sight to Jim Courier.
That's what he wants to see more of.
3 points, and there have not been any. There's no free lunch in this match for Courier. Has the first game of the fourth set, but he trails. Spanish-American wars on the tennis court. This is the third in a major final. 1966, Dennis Ralston, who was here as Gabriela Sabatini's coach, lost to Manolo Santana. And then one of the great upsets in history. The butterfly man from Barcelona, left-hander Manuel Orantes, spun his web around Jimmy Connors, who was considered invincible in the U.S. Open in those days. That was at Forest Hills, and that was on clay.
Well, Bud, it looks to me as if it's time for an American to win one. We don't want to see a Spanish hat trick.
The Spanish hat dance, huh?
Look what we have here. First serve percentage is fair to Midland, but the interesting thing is he's won the same percentage of points off the first and second serve.
Consistent.
Very surprising. But you think Courier would be able to attack more successfully off the second serve? Let's look again. 66% is a good first serve points won. Not great, but second serve points won. That's way above the average. 66% is very surprising against a player of Jim Courier's caliber.
15 all. Bruguera with a 2-set-1 lead. And there's an overrule by umpire Bruno Rebu. Linesman made no signal, no call, but immediately Rebu called fault. Second serve. Slight opening for Courier.
Big chance for Jim right now, Bud. 15-30. Won a big game the first game of the fourth set.
He'd like to jump Sergi right away to show him that he's coming back. If he can. Got the line. And Jim Courier has a couple of breakers.
We expected a little bit more of this from Jim Courier, but here we have a tremendous backhand there. Met the ball beautifully, but look at this forehand. Right on the line. Skidded off the line, not allowing Bruguera a chance to even hit a pass. He's pumping up now. He knows he can get right back into this match.
2 break points. Courier didn't have any in the third set. So Courier steps out to a 2-love lead. But he's down 2-1.
Very loose game there, Bud, by Sergi. Look at this here, Bud. First serve percentage only at 52%, winning 72% of his first serve. But look at this, only 45% of his second serve. That's a big difference from Bruguera.
He better put more first serves in.
That's a good start. Take a little bit off the serve.
Well, it's been a curious tournament. Bruguera in here as the number 10 seed. Stefan Edberg vanished before the 18-year-old Russian. Andrei Medvedev. Boris Becker, number 4, taken out by who? Rodolphe Gilbert. Lendl lost in the first round to Stefan Ray. Qualified.
It's what you call a changing of the guard.
Ex-champion Michael Chang. Well, I hope the guard's not changed in his case. Lost to Bernd Karbacher. Big disappointment for Michael. He came in hand. He thought he was ready.
That's true, but you know, he talked to you and a lot of other people about how much this tournament meant to him. He's never been past the quarterfinals in any clay court event except for the time he won the French Open. So he really wanted to prove a lot to himself as well as the people, the tennis fans. But it looks to me like Bruguera, it looks like he did at the beginning of the third set. He received that tremendous boost at the first game of the third set. Now all of a sudden we see a total change here. He's won 10 of the last 11 points. He looks a little bit deflated again, a little bit fatigued. He had a great opportunity that first game of this set to take real control of this match, but he's let it slip away. And Jim Courier's taken full advantage of it.
40 love. And 3 games on Courier's. So Sergi Bruguera left the court. It's either a bathroom break or a change of attire, as it's called, break.
I don't think it was a change of attire, Bud.
Well, you can understand the bathroom break with all this water being drunk to avoid dehydration. I remember Harold Solomon in that 1976 match final against Adriano Panata. And Solly, it was a day like this, seemed even hotter. Lost it in the 4th set in a tiebreaker, but he drank 20 of those big bottles of water during the match.
Well, maybe Bruguera remembered the 91 final where Andre Agassi lost the 4th set of that match after being up 2 sets to 1-6-1. Maybe he's trying a little bit of gamesmanship here.
Bruguera.
That ball
was it an ace? Courier doesn't think so. Now the lineswoman, Nellie Forche, and reverses herself. Good lineswoman. She made a mistake. She says so. Second serve.
Let's look at this serve, Bud. You can see the mark there, just a touch wide.
Second serve.
I don't think Sergi's going to tire Jim out, although I think it's a good idea to try to make him run as much as possible. Bruguera is clearly not as fit as Jim is, and it looks to me like fitness is starting to become a factor here. Earlier in the match, Bud, you would have seen him run after that ball and try to swing at a forehand pass. Watch this point here. Jim hits a good backhand return. Bruguera hits the ball short. Look at this, though. He doesn't even try for it.
Well, Bruguera leads in the match, 6-4, 2-6, 6-2, but it's love 3, 15-0. Is he thinking 5th set, maybe?
I really think he's already starting to think 5th set, which is not a good thing. He's only down 1 break, and he's a set away from winning the French Open title for the first time. This may be his best chance ever at winning this tournament.
Net court. Courier thought that was long.
I think he hit the line there, Bud.
But it skipped.
And Bruguera's looking at the mark 2 or 3 points ago, the serve. He still wants to know whether that ball was out or not. See a replay here. Hits the tape. Bruguera hits a nice approach shot just inside the line.
30-15.
That was a couple amazing gets by Jim Courier. Look at him scurry around the court. Great lob from that position.
But he set himself up in position to make the return and didn't.
He knows he should have at least made him play that shot one more time, and he's having a good little laugh about it.
15.
Jim Lair, a noted sports psychologist, always said to try to break the tension by laughing at yourself, and Jim Courier's learned well from the Dr. Lair.
3-1 for Courier. No, I think you're right, John. I think Sergi should be pushing hard to get over in 4.
I think he knows as well as most tennis experts that he's clearly not the fitter of the 2 players, so it would bode better for Jim Courier to go to a 5th set. Well, Buddy made a great effort here, but I think there was a slight hesitation right at the end here whether or not he should go for this shot. What an effort to get to the ball, but I think that cost him the ability to have a full swing at that. Right here, he hesitated ever so slightly, although you wouldn't know it on this replay.
11 steps, remarkable. 15 love.
I'm going to correct myself a little bit about what I said a few points ago. I said it would bode well for Courier if it went to a 5th set. Obviously, he needs to win this set.
That's not the only way he can win it.
But I meant to say before the match, if someone said if it went to 5 sets, clearly 99 out of 100 people would have picked Courier if it gone to 5. Despite the fact that Courier's only 5 and 7 in 5-set matches, which is extremely surprising,
isn't it? Sergi Bruguera is not supposed to be fancy around the net. But on the 17th stroke,
but Sergi Bruguera is volleyed extremely well in this match. Gets himself back into position with that backhand. Loves that inside-out forehand. Look at this touch here.
15-30.
Sets himself up beautifully with that inside-out forehand. Strings his rackets very loose. Allows himself to just push that ball over the net for a big opportunity for him to get right back into the set.
Another slippery 15-30 point for Courier.
Well, that was power to the nth degree right here. Really hammering that ball. This forehand, he puts everything into it, rotates his hips beautifully.
Well, if he can remove those errors from the forehand, then he's in business. 30 all, 3-1. 4th set. Bruguera has 2 sets.
Jim Courier hits the ball off that forehand just about as hard as I've ever seen anyone hit the ball. There's very few people who can stay with him there. You might have Andre Agassi, Ivan Lendl in his prime hit the ball hard, but Jim Courier hits it with a lot of pace.
Richard Krajicek. Remember that forehand return against Courier?
That was the hardest forehand ever hit, period.
Could have been. The old sand pile. 65-year-old Stade Roland Garros. So many epic battles here.
I'm surprised he didn't take his time there and try to hit a topspin backhand.
Yeah.
He made a couple great gets here. Here we see the power of Courier's forehand once again. The inside-out forehand. A nice defensive line by Bruguera to get back into the point. There's where I thought maybe he would have hit out on that forehand.
Yeah.
But that's where the grip change came into play. He didn't have time to change his grip. Here I would have suspected him to try to take his time and hit a topspin pass down the line. And I think he knows that as he tries to pull out his hair.
40-30. Well, he's got a lot to work on.
Send some to me.
You're talking.
Well, there's that loose forehand, bud. You got to expect that, though, sometimes. Jim hits the ball so hard off that side.
Another sticky game for Jim Courier. He had a game point, now it's deuce.
I think he's had to work a lot harder for the points than he expected before this match, despite the fact that he respects Bruguera greatly on clay.
Tremendous depth. Had to work for that point. 13 strokes.
Avantage Courier.
Oh, that's great clay court tennis by both players. Bruguera stabbing in a couple backhands to get himself back into play, mixing it up beautifully. Courier trying to hit that short angle, then combining it with the power. Caught Bruguera by surprise, or hitting it up the middle. That last shot, Bruguera wasn't expecting it and missed that backhand. Chance for Jim to go up 4-1 in the fourth set.
And he does. 4-1 is Courier's lead, but remember, only a service break. Looking across the house the Musketeers built. They won the Davis Cup for the United States in 1927. Brugnon, Lacoste, Cochet, and Barotra finally bringing down Big Bill Tilden after the U.S. had held the Cup 7 years. Where were they going to play it? The next year's final in Paris. There was only a small stadium with 2,000 seats. So Stade Roland Garros was constructed, and here the French held off the world to win the Davis Cup 6 consecutive years. The cup named for those men who built this place.
But we should put in perspective.
Musketeer.
I'm sorry, but we should put in perspective these 5-set matches that Jim Courier has lost, because we've said that he's only 5-7 in the career, but he happened to lose 5 of the first 6 of those. And in the last couple of years, he's come 2-1 down twice. As we see Sergi Bruguera hit an ace. In 91, in the round of 32, he beat Magnus Larsson in 5 sets after being 2-1 down in a break, as well as Andre Agassi that same year. So
there are the aces, twice as many for Sergi Bruguera. Two double faults for Bruguera.
Bruguera appears to be laboring now, taking a lot of time between points, known as a player that plays very quickly. So he's clearly feeling the heat. You wouldn't know it on that backhand. He's got a nice kick second serve that's tough to attack. Forces Jim to hit short and moves beautifully into that backhand for a winner up the line. And Bud, that was a perfect example of how that forehand kicks off the clay court. A lot of topspin. Jim seemed to be there, but suddenly it exploded off the court and just blew right by him.
Courier.
The 1993 French Open is brought to you by Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time. By Apple, makers of PowerBook Duo. It's a desktop computer. It's a notebook computer. It's the best of both worlds. And by O'Doul's from Anheuser-Busch. Premium beer taste without the alcohol.
Back in Paris with Jim Courier, behind and trying to defend his title, trying to become the first American male to win 3 consecutive years. Sergi Bruguera has him tied up, but Courier has a winning lead in the 4th set anyway at 4-2. I'm Bud Collins with John McEnroe and Dan Hicks.
Well, Bud, that's about as loose a forehand as you'll see from Sergi Bruguera. Still is in this set.
Only 1 break. That scored against the Spaniard in the 2nd game.
He's got to at least make Jim Courier win this set. Not make any unforced errors at this point. Critical time for him to stay in this match. That's 2 points, Bud, where he didn't make Jim Courier hit a winning volley or a forehand.
Ace! Isn't it? Well, service linesman comes out to check the mark. I thought it took a piece of the line, and so does he.
I'm not sure that was a mark, but
it's time for Bruno Ridieu to take his walk. The silliest feature of clay court tennis. Just out, says Bruno. How can anybody tell?
Isn't it amazing how 2 people look at the exact same mark and call it totally differently?
Second serve, 30 love for Courier. That's part of the clay court carnival. That's amusing.
It's one thing judging a boxing match, but the mark is pretty clear.
Except which mark do you pick? Oh, Bruguera.
Well, here's another example of Sergi Bruguera's fine down-the-line backhand. Steps into this once again beautifully. Completely surprised Jim Courier there.
One thing they could do to help all those marks is to drag the court on every change game. They could do it quickly. Hustle paid off.
But I think that's an example of what he needed to do the first couple of points. At least make Jim Courier win the point with a winning forehand or a volley of some kind. Good retrieving by Bruguera.
Sergi Bruguera.
Sorry, this went for a little too much there.
The 6th for Courier.
Well, Bud, that brought out a laugh from Sergi Bruguera. Great point by both players. Long rally, ending with this tremendous forehand winner cross court. What a relief for him.
Bruguera, 2-1 lead, could catch up here on serve in the fourth.
He's had 20 breakpoint opportunities, so this would be a great time for him to capitalize and get break number 4. Not yet. Jim Courier determined to keep his break of serve in the fourth set. Putting everything into these shots. Takes his time here nicely. Easy overhead to get back to deuce.
Deuce, 4-2, fourth set. Ace! 4 for Courier.
Avantage Courier.
Big time serve there. Deuce, 4-2, 7th game. Bruguera threatening to get back into the set. Catching up in the ace department. 6-4.
Sergi Bruguera, whatever happens, will make a lot of friends today, and probably you've never seen him before.
Beginning to sound like a broken record, but these guys are hitting the ball with such pace, mixing it up beautifully. Jim coming in on big form, but look at that backhand by Sergi Bruguera. It's got that heavy Western grip on the forehand. Shortens the backswing there to stay in this 7th game.
Couple of 175-pounders. They're hitting like heavyweights.
These two players are really starting to enjoy themselves, so I think they know they're playing top-level tennis right now. You can't play much better than this on clay courts. Jim mixing up that inside-out forehand. Look at him wag his finger there.
Quite a contrast to last year. Petter Korda never was in the match.
Bruguera telling him he should have hit it over to the forehand.
Now they're like a couple of fighters in it who will hug and embrace when it's over. Advantage to Courier. A point for a 5-2 lead as he tries to catch up. Jim Courier has his 5-2 lead. Still trails by a set.
NBC Sports coverage of the French Open is presented by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola.
James Courier in a fresh shirt. And he'll have a fresh outlook on this match if he can break Sergi Bruguera here. But Bruguera leads 6-4, 2-6, 6-2, 2-5.
But I think we got 5-setter written all over this match.
10th seeded Spaniard. 11th in the world, but he'll go to number 5 after this tournament. Wonderful tournament he's had. Started playing at 6. Used to hang around a guy named Jose Maria Ducamp, sports writer in Barcelona, and read all the tennis stuff that Ducamp wrote.
0-15.
Comp as a tennis magazine. He used to give Sergi all the old copies he could find. Jim would really like to break here and lead off in the stretch run. How much of a psychological edge is that to lead off in the fifth set, John?
I just think that right now Bruguera seems to be laboring a bit. It'd be important for him psychologically to at least hold serve, make Courier serve it out, give him a little bit of time to regroup mentally. If he loses this, suddenly Courier could hold serve and be up 1-love in the fifth before he knew it.
Boy, he's been tough at the net. And it would have been a long price against that before the match began.
But he's volleyed extremely well in this match. Only can bode well for his success on some other surfaces, too. Good technique on that backhand volley.
Courier 2 points from the set.
30.
Courier's taking his time now, making Bruguera wait. This is what Bruguera was complaining about early in the match, but this has happened on a number of occasions. As long as the umpire lets him get away with it, he will continue to do it.
You never did that, did you?
Never once.
Okay.
I learned from the experts, Jimmy Connors, Yvonne Lendl.
Did he miss it again?
Second serve ace.
Second serve ace.
Went for a lot more than you expect Sergi to go for on his second serve.
Wow.
Got a little bit lucky there.
It's his seventh ace. First second ball ace.
Well, that's just great court coverage by Sergi Bruguera. Jim hits a good deep return, suddenly hits the drop shot. Bruguera on the full run, but even more impressively, the shot he hit.
All those tentacles of the Barcelona octopus.
It's one thing to get to the ball, but it's another thing to do as much as he did with it.
Good game for him to win. Courier now serves for parity at 6-3. But if you're Bruguera, aren't you trying to break? You don't want to.
Are you kidding? Absolutely.
Yeah. Net cord will not go for the champion.
0-15.
Well, but if we look here, it's still 86 degrees. It's quite warm out. The humidity's dropped a little bit to 60%, but it's still a factor in this match.
Almost 6:30 in Paris. Plenty of time. Gets dark around 9:30. Wide. Jim Courier
0-30.
back in the rough.
Well, they always say, Bud, the toughest game to hold is this game when you're serving for the set of the match, and this is another indication of that. Love 30, a chance for Bruguera to get back into this set. You can rest assured Jim will take his time here. Try to catch
27. John, unforced error on that forehand. Love 30.
He certainly cut back on that so far in this fourth set. That's one of the few loose forehands he's hit in this particular set.
Bruguera awful far back, but he might try to come up on a second ball. He's been doing that surprisingly.
So.
No, he's too far back.
At this point.
It is wide, and James Courier's lead melting.
That's 3 fairly loose points from
0-0.
Jim Courier here, Bud, to give Sergi Bruguera a triple break point. As we said earlier in the telecast, Bruguera's had an awful lot of opportunities to break, not only in this match, but throughout the tournament, breaking over 50% of the time as leading into this match. Incredible percentage. And now here, only 3 of 21.
In the triple dinger. Got the line there. Ooh. Oh! Off the post. Nearly decapitated
15-40.
Gaston Fortescue. He was lucky.
Jim, it's a big first hit here. Sergi blocking it back, as has the trend been throughout the match. Nice defensive lob, a little bit short, but he guessed right here. Had a real chance here with a semi-open court to break back.
Break point number 2. Fortescue came out of it with his head. Service winner. Here comes break point 3.
30-40.
Well, Jim Courier is certainly looking for a couple free points here. He's gotten 2 relatively free ones. Bruguera needs to get into this point. Look at this, though. 3 of 23.
But all Bruguera needs is 1 good return, and he's even. And he has a 2-1 lead. He might get it! He might get this! Woo! Oh, no, he can't be a drum major. Sergi Bruguera.
But I think this effort here speaks for itself. Unfortunately, hit the ball too short for him. Tries to hit that wide looping forehand cross-court winner, but look at this effort.
S'il vous plaît, mesdames et messieurs.
Threw the racket up to the sky.
2 Gamecocks here. Both men all out. Bruguera. If you didn't know him before, he has made his name today. It's deuce from Love 40. And now, Courier 2 points from the set. And set point.
Avantage Courier.
I think Sergi fella took a bad bounce there, but he's probably still thinking about those 3 breakpoint chances he's had this game alone. Not a whole lot happened there. He knows he shouldn't have missed that. That's what happens when you have 24 breakpoint opportunities and you only get 3. So that's playing on your mind.
Batting 125 on breakers. And there it goes. New ball game. This match is dead even for the second time. Stick around.